From the dashboard, we'll move into the fifth section of our tutorial, adding a new item request. To do so, click on the New Item Request tab. After clicking on the New Item Request tab, you'll be navigated to the Create Request Form page. This is where you'll begin entering the information for the item that you're requesting. The first field that you'll see here is the supplier name. If you've created a request before, this name should start auto-populating once you begin typing. The second field you'll see is Requested By. This information isn't required, however, it's helpful to have if you know. For example, was it requested by the customer, a supplier, or an SRM? The third field you'll see is Brand. This simply means the brand of the item that you're requesting. The fourth field you'll see is Product Category. Please note that you may only select one product category per item request form from the drop-down menu. In other words, if you're submitting an item request for multiple items which fall under different product categories, you'll need to submit separate item request forms. The fifth field you'll see is where you can browse and upload the guaranteed sales agreement that you have with UNFI. The sixth field indicates how many products you will be adding per request form. And lastly, the seventh field is where you will enter the item UPC numbers in the text box. Please note that this can be a copy of an Excel column or another list. The UPCs should be separated by either a new line, comma, or space character. If applicable, you can upload certificates that apply to the products that you were requesting. For example, kosher certificate, fair trade certificate, organic certificate, and gluten-free certification are all listed here. If you do not happen to have the certificate on hand when you're on this page, you're more than welcome to upload that at a later point before submitting your item request. After you've completed all of this information, you'll click Save at the bottom of the page. Once you've successfully entered the basic information on the first page of the new item request form, you will be navigated to the Edit Items page. Here is where you'll be able to edit the necessary information for the products in your new item request before proceeding to the next step in the process. On the left side of this page, you'll note the different categories which you are required to complete. We'll briefly review each of those categories now. You'll begin with the Basic Info tab located here. Before reviewing the content, I'll point out that this orange section is also known as the Master Record. This orange section contains information which will be applied to the values of all of the items included in your request form at once. To edit a column individually, you will click Edit Items. As you can see, that description column has now disappeared. If you click Edit Items of the Size and Pack column, that will disappear as well. Moving below the Master Records section, you'll see entry forms for the UPC and item numbers. The information filled out individually per item is located here. For this particular item request form, I included 3 items, so that's why you'll see 3 separate rows for UPC and item number entries. They should include the item UPC numbers as you entered in the first page of the item request form. After you've filled out all of the necessary description and size and pack information for your item request, you'll click Save and Next to proceed to the next category. If you do not include all of required information in the entry forms that are indicated by the red asterisks, this is the notification that you will receive, not allowing you to proceed to the next step. The next tab you'll see is the Item Details tab. This is where you'll upload product labels for your items. After you've done so, you'll scroll to the bottom to click Save and Next or Save and Previous. The next tab is the Origin tab. This is where you'll enter the country of where the product is coming from. If it's the US, please indicate the state. Click Save and then Next. The next tab is the Retail Category Management tab. If your product is gourmet and ethnic, it's a yes or no field. In addition to gourmet and ethnic, there is the categorization for your item. If you'd like to complete this entry, you can. However, our RCM team will also be reviewing and categorizing all items. The next tab is the East Distributor Cost tab. Here we ask for the item cost, case cost, and SRP for both FOB and delivered. If you have only one or the other, please complete the appropriate column. We will also need your full manufacturer's price list. East pricing is required for all items, even if it's a West-only setup. The next tab is the West Distributor Cost tab. This is essentially identical to the East Distributor in that we ask for item cost, case cost, and SRP for both FOB and West delivered. If you have only one or the other, please complete the appropriate column. We will also need your full manufacturer's price list, and we ask that you complete West pricing for all item setups. The next tab is the Certifications tab. The certifications for which apply to your items need to be selected. For example, if you submitted a kosher certificate, then you will select of the following which apply to your items under kosher. Click Save and then Next. The next tab is the Additives tab. Here you will check all additives that apply to each of your items that have been submitted. You will click Save and then Next. This tab is the Dietary Information tab. This tab allows you to enter specific dietary and allergen information as well as the ingredients of your items. The Ingredients section is mandatory. This section can have text copied in and pasted as a text from another document. The next tab is the Non-Food Items tab. This is where you will list pesticides and EPA information as needed for non-food items. Click Save and Next. This is the Shelf Life tab. Here is where we ask you to indicate the temp zone, product shelf life at time of production, guaranteed shelf life at time of UNFI possession, the level at which your item should be kept at, any conditions it should be kept from, i.e. freeze or heat, and lastly, whether or not it's enrobed in chocolate. Click Save and Next. This is the Expiration tab. Here, we ask that you fill out the type of code life dating, whether it's open, closed, or no expiration, and if it's open, sell by, use by, or best by. If it is closed dating, you will need to define the code used and how to determine the expiration date in this field. The next section is Beverages. Here you will enter the bottle deposit information. Click Save and then Next. The next section is Packaging Specs. This is where you will enter the manufacturer per part number per item, as shown here. And then for packaging information, you will enter the retail unit package type, gross case weight, tie, and high. For the item information, you will enter height, width, and depth. For the inner pack information, if applicable, you will enter height, width, and depth. And for the master case information, you will enter height, width, depth, and random weight item if applicable. The next section is East Warehouse Locations. Here's where you will mark the distribution centers that you would like to see your items set up in the East. Click Save and Next. This section is the West Warehouse Locations. Here you will mark the DCs that you would like to see your items set up in the West. This section is the Vendor Warehouse Locations tab. Once you've added vendor warehouse locations to your account from the My Account tab as we showed earlier, you will see those selections here. It's mandatory to select the vendor warehouse location that the product will be coming from. We will send the packet back if this section isn't completed. Click Save and Next. This section is the Shipper Components tab. Here you will indicate whether or not your item is a shipper. If yes, then please provide open stock information as shown here. For multiple items, please select Add Another Item. If an item is not currently set up in UNFI, we must receive a request for that item. Click Save and Next. This is the Marketing tab. Here you can upload an image of your product. Click Save and Next. The last section is Promotions. Please complete 90-day intro and first available ship date for all of your items included in the request form. Once you've filled out all of this applicable information, you will click Save at the bottom of the page. After you've entered all of the required information on the Edit Items tab and saved, you will be navigated back to this page. Scrolling down, you should find all of the relevant information that you entered in these columns. Since I didn't save any of the content for this example, you won't find any of that information listed. Lastly, you can download all promotions and shipper data by clicking on this tab. You may enter any necessary workflow commentary in this field box for our UNFI teams to review. When you're finally completed, click Submit for review. The last tabs that we need to review here are the Workflow tab and the Export Request tab. By clicking on the Workflow tab, you have the ability to view the history and current state of all item requests that you have submitted, as shown below. By clicking on the Export Request tab, you will be allowed to export your request as a Word document.